Welcome to Advocacy Exchange, Navigating Injury Texas Law.
Welcome back to Advocacy Exchange, Navigating Texas Injury Law with Larry Littleton. Larry is the CEO and managing attorney at Littleton Law Firm, where he helps guide strategy, client communications, and case management across the firm. I'm Lisa Mosby, your host, and today we're talking about why some injury claims stall and what tends to cause delays as a case moves forward. Thank you so much for joining me today, Larry.
No, it's a welcome to you. I'll tell you, get a chance to talk about what I do. I love that.
Larry, when a claim starts to slow down, what are the early signs that it's no longer moving in the way that it should?
Well, there are two things that usually cause a claim to slow down. One of them is the name of the insurance company. Some insurance companies make their biggest bucks by just being delayed, wearing out the claimant to where they accept little or nothing. The second most important thing is that getting the information to the insurance company quickly, efficiently, and organized in such a fashion that they can set up what they call reserves. If the reserves are insufficient when the case first starts, and then more information is added to it, indicating that the reserves are incorrect, it will cause a traumatic delay because they have to go in and reassess those kinds of reserves. That takes a lot of time.
And then where do the cases most often lose momentum in the early stages, even when the injury itself isn't clear?
Well, as far as momentum is concerned, you are in control of that momentum. If you are not getting return phone calls, if you can't get medical records on a timely basis, if there is a delay in trying to get a witness statement or something of that sort, those kinds of things can cause delay. But generally speaking, a law firm that does this on a daily basis has all kinds of safeguards to make sure that there is no delay. Sometimes it's a question of liability. Sometimes it's a question of medical attention. And sometimes it's a situation where you've got a witness saying one thing and another witness saying something else. But the point is, everything is pushed to the forefront. Nothing should sit there and be waiting for a delay. We make sure that the insurance company knows who we are, what we're doing, and why we're doing what's going on to prevent a delay.
Larry, how do gaps in documentation or incomplete information affect how a claim progresses?
Well, some people think that all the information in a personal injury case comes out quickly, it comes out methodically, and there's usually no problems. No, it's just the reverse. Medical records take forever to get. They have to be with affidavits in a format that's acceptable to the insurance companies and the courts, as well as the treatment itself. Some people are treated for a 2 or 3 week period of time and they're fine. Others do not. Some require surgery. That's more additional time. So it depends on the individual case what can cause kinds of circumstances for gaps. The gaps could be, for example, physical therapy takes normally about 4 to 5 weeks. Once that physical therapy is completed, then there may be other therapies, but usually the doctor says, okay, let's wait and see what's happening. Then we'll make a decision. That may be another month, maybe 2 months. Then they refer you to pain management, and pain management will set up a regime spaced out also. So on the books, it may show gaps in dates, but in reality, it's a continuum of treatment. The whole purpose of the lawyer in organizing the story is to make sure the gaps don't appear at all, but they're explained because what the doctor told the client. That's due to the fact that those kinds of circumstances occur frequently. We have to make sure the story is complete. And sometimes it involves gaps that are intended by the doctor to make sure the proper treatment is well within the time span of that kind of protocol.
And then, Larry, what are insurance companies usually waiting to see before they move a claim forward or they continue to hold it back?
Well, listen, you've got two things that are going on in the claim in the very beginning. One of them is a question of liability. The other one is a question of medical. If the liability is still being an issue, then there are a confrontation between the parties, the witnesses, or whatever. That may take additional time, but you don't stop with the medical. You continue with the medical. Then, when the issues of liability are resolved, or they get to a point where litigation is necessary, the medical is still continuing. The medical is still backing up the injuries that the client originally indicated in the first interview. So you got both things moving at the same time. You don't let anything stop. You don't let any delay, and you don't allow gaps that are not explainable by the doctor's protocol.
So I'm kind of curious, how does the way a case is organized and managed behind the scenes impact how steadily it progresses?
Well, just like anything else, if you're not organized and if you're not presenting it at the timely manner, you wait in line because you're not ready to talk to them or you don't have the evidence ready to talk to them. In this firm, we want to make sure we get it done as quickly as possible. The clients are waiting. The clients are injured. The clients want to get this thing over with. And we know that. In order to be able to get the client to refer cases back to us, we've got to be ahead of the game. We've got to make sure we are in front. And we spend a lot of time to making sure we are ready to be and talk with the insurance company as quickly as possible.
Can you talk about some of those steps? Like, where does investigation fit into this? Where does evidence collection fit into this? What are some of the processes that are happening that we don't always see?
Well, the process is starting because different individuals involved at different times. For example, if there's a liability issue and an investigation is involved, the attorney is involved up front. Secondly, the medical treatments and circumstances following the protocols or whatever doctor treatments is going on at the time, we know what those protocols are. So we make sure that the client knows about the appointment. We know that the appointments are attended. We know what the doctor is telling them. We know when the next move is in reference to medical. All of it is gauged and calendared and watched and monitored for the very purpose of making sure that the medical treatment is correct, making sure the medical treatment is done timely, and the client is taken care of. So monitoring, being able to control the upfront in reference to investigation, as well as controlling getting the records later when we know that most of the treatment has been completed. It's all in one game and done by several different people who are charged for different things concerning the case.
I'm curious if maybe you have an example to share with us of why your firm is so organized and how you were able to move a case forward that maybe others would have dropped the ball on. Can you think of an example over your years of experience that you could tie this all together for us?
Sometimes the ball being dropped is because the client doesn't understand exactly what they're supposed to do. Sometimes it's dropped because they didn't go to an appointment and they didn't reschedule. Sometimes it is a dispute between the doctor and the client over concerning the different types of treatment. Sometimes it's a language problem. Sometimes it can be a cultural problem. But whatever is going on, if the case is being monitored properly, these things can be identified quickly and can be handled quickly. The point is there should not be a delay that there's not a reason for it. The delay, like I indicated to you before, many times doctors will have their own protocol about what they want to do next, but they want to give it time to see if it heals on its own. We have to make sure that that's timed properly. Usually it's 30 days. You don't want to wait 6 months and go back to the doctor and say, hey, the pain is still there. So anticipating the kinds of problems that insurance companies bring up, the kinds of problems that they want to emphasize to indicate that the client is not seriously hurt and did not take their case seriously. That is the way they try to discount and save the insurance company money, usually based on misinformation. We try our best to make sure they have all of the current information and is done in an organized fashion to make sure it's easily understood and follows their protocols and the insurance company, their algorithm they use in determining value.
Larry, how can early delays affect how a case is viewed later, especially in terms of credibility and overall strength of the case?
Well, the effectiveness of how the case is organized and how it's kept up with. For example, when I first started practicing law, the insurance carrier would simply say, don't contact me until you have all the medicals and submit me a demand, a request for settlement. Nowadays, with new algorithms for each insurance company, nearly all of them are gauged by the amount of money that they have put in reserves. So we tell the insurance company up front the extent of the injuries that we're dealing with. And when we have some decisive piece of information for that medical treatment, we send it to the insurance company then. That way, the insurance company is not surprised by an injury. They're not surprised by the medical treatment that's coming down, and they anticipate what that treatment may require given the algorithm they have set up in their own way of determining the value of a claim. So it's organization, it's efficiency, it's making sure that everyone is fully informed and the case moves on efficiently.
And Larry, for someone dealing with a claim that feels like it's not moving, what's important to understand about what may be happening? Again, I'm going to go behind the scenes. What's happening behind the scenes for those folks?
Yes, in any law firm that does personal injury, one of the major complaints by the clients is, why is it taking so long? That's not what they said on the TV program. I saw it the other day. They just handed the man a check as soon as he walked in the door. No, it doesn't work that way. During the initial interview, we make sure they understand what is required to prove their case, how insurance companies really work, and what they saw on television is all not true. Okay. So many times these are illusions that are conjured up and created by people when they think about lawyers and all the things they say in the newspaper about a large verdict. The point is, most verdicts are not large. The point is that less than 1 to 2% of the cases involving auto accidents ever even go to trial. So you explain all these things quickly to the client. They understand it, and they make sure that they see and understand the various steps that are required in order to prove their case. They need to understand that they're in control of it as well, because their participation in the medical and keeping us fully informed is just as important in moving the case as it is to make sure the procedures are completed. So what we do is we create a team. We are the teammates with the client. This is his case. It's her case. We're going to do the best we can, but we have to act as a team. Actively act as a team.
Larry, where I want to wrap up this episode is just with some insight, some guidance from you for somebody who may be involved in a case like this right now. What knowledge would you like to leave them with today?
Well, I think the biggest advice I can give, the most important advice I can give to anyone concerning feeling like there's a delay or they're feeling like something is slow and they don't understand what's going on is call the lawyer. Call him and talk to him. Sometimes these things can take about a 2-minute conversation. Sometimes there's something going on that the client doesn't understand because something that was said to them earlier. There's all kinds of sources of problems that may exist, but the relationship between the client and the attorney should be very close. If there's a question, ask. Being able to get those questions answered is the way you show that the lawyer is a team. His team and the client are together to accomplish the goal, success, and being able to get a fair settlement.
Well said, Larry. Thank you so much for your insights today. Folks, that's it for today's episode of Advocacy Exchange Navigating Texas Injury Law. If you've been injured or have questions about why your case may be taking longer than expected, the team at Littleton Law Firm is here to help you understand the process and your options. Visit littletonlawfirm.com to learn more. And thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and give us a review. We'll see you next time.
Until next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.